Hi, how's it going, Jesse Peterson?
Hi, I'm Nicole. Tavoian.
Nicole, great. Thanks for meeting with me today. Go ahead and have a seat.
How's your day been?
It's been a great day. It's been a super great day. It's been a little bit rainy, which sometimes starts the day out weird, but it's been good so far.
The thunder was super loud when I woke up this morning. Okay. It was my alarm clock.
A little bit shocking how to wake up to that. Great.
So we can talk a little bit about your concerns with the article that we gave you. What are some concerns or why you rejected the proposal in the first place that we can kind of work out?
Sure, Nicole. So we actually have presence in 200 locations throughout the nation, and all of these 200 locations are actually using this same article, and it's worked pretty well. We need that consistency throughout, just so that when we're making changes as a chain store, you have to be able to make those changes consistent, especially to be able to do some awesome advertising. We need that consistency. And I think that the developers that we've worked with in the past have actually found that it's really beneficial for them as well. Just us having that flexibility and being able to do what we do best, which is retail, making sure that we're consistently having good foot traffic benefits the developers and everyone else that's involved. So definitely has been a benefit.
And they haven't had any problems with tenants not wanting to contract with them because of, I don't know, out of fear of you taking their customers and then moving away, or.
Right. Actually, Nicole, honestly, on the contrary, I think that typically these satellite tenants, when they find out that it's discount that they're working with, and they hear about us and our past track record and the awesome customers that we bring right past their store every day to look in their windows and then essentially to go in and buy, I think that they get really excited, and it's a fantastic deal for them. And definitely, I think is far from being an issue, is more of a benefit for them.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Yeah.
So what would be if we didn't say maybe came to an agreement? What would be your alternative of choosing another place? It would be choosing another place to go and have your store, or what would be what would you do if we didn't come to an agreement?
Right. So for us, this is our first time in the Boston area. We don't have any locations in Massachusetts right now, so we're excited about this location and kind of almost as a guinea pig to see if it works out well, and then if it does, we'll consider other possibilities. I would definitely say that we've appreciated you guys and what you've done so far. All of the personnel that have worked with your guys' company have been happy with you, and you guys have worked well with a lot of the other things that we needed to go ahead and make this deal work, and we appreciate the rent you've given us. But definitely, if we're not able to maintain some of those key aspects that are going to allow us the flexibility we need as a chain store, we do have some other developers in the area that we could potentially go with.
Okay. What made you want to choose the mall that we have?
Sure. You guys are a great location right here off of the highway. I don't particularly do a lot of the scouting out when it comes to new locations. That's other people in the company. Mm-hmm. But I trust that they picked it for a good reason, and that they trust your guys' company. The fact that you guys will be flexible and work with us, and yeah, definitely, I think that it's going to be a good location as far as specifically where it's at.
Okay. Well, that's good. And is subleasing and assigning something that's huge for you guys, or would it be a big deal? Would it be a deal breaker for you if we weren't allowing you guys to sublease?
Definitely is kind of a deal breaker sort of thing. As far as subleasing goes, oftentimes we use it pretty often to be able to draw new people in, and even smaller shops. I mean, obviously you've probably walked through a mall or walked into a JCPenney's and they have a Sephora makeup or something that's a separate company but that shares that space and draws and more customers in. We definitely have worked with that in the past, and it works pretty well for us. So subleasing is definitely something that is going to need to be necessary. With assigning, obviously, it's not our goal to be, I don't presume to be in retail, and I have no desire to. So on the chance that things don't work out, obviously, I don't really have a desire to assign and be responsible for this location. I'd rather just get out completely. So.
Okay. So if you were to like to sublease, how would you go about, or like even assigning, how would you go about choosing who to to give it to, and whether to sublease or assign to? Like, would you look at like their business, their credibility? How would you go about choosing those people?
Sure. I know that our market research team does a bunch of data on this and figuring out what's going to be the most successful and companies' past history and their sales and whether it's going to mesh well. So there is definitely a lot of research that goes into it. I would say that it's especially important for us just once we decide on who is going to be in there, that we have that flexibility to put them in all 200 stores.
Yeah, I mean, I heard our biggest concern is the fear for potential tenants to want to come and sublease with us, and I know like you have a huge reputation with your discount. Like everyone loves it and thinks it's super great. And I know like it will bring a lot of customers with the store.
Right. Absolutely. We really do pride ourselves on that, and it's a big part of our company culture.
Do you have any like any other concerns or questions for me that might need to be that you might have?
Sure. So Nicole, something that was brought to my attention right before coming in to meet with you, I just was sort of briefed on the history of what's happened so far in the negotiations, is that they previously put in a 25-year contract, which for us is just not super feasible. Typically the standard contract is more of a 5-year contract, and we found that works the best, just because on the off chance that we have to pull out for some reason, the location's just not ideal for discount and we're not being profitable, that we're not stuck in a 25-year agreement. And so honestly, 5 years works a lot better for us, and it's kind of the standard of what we've used in the past.
Okay. And so do you not want to continue with the 25-year? Because that's one thing that we need is for our anchor, we need at least one contract that lasts more than 10 years for our funding to build it. And so that's kind of one reason why we wanted to work with you, is because of that 25-year contract. We need that in order to get our funding.
Sure. Absolutely. That's kind of surprising to me. So you're saying that you need 25 years to get the financing?
At least more than 10 years.
At least more than 10?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Nicole, that's surprising to me, just because I know that with a lot of the developers we've worked with in the past, obviously as the anchor tenant, we normally do a lot of negotiations before the mall's actually built. And typically 3 to 5 years has been acceptable for them. So I just kind of find that surprising that that your guys' financing people are wanting 10 years.
Yeah, just to make sure that at least they have the funding that they need for it as their main.
Right. Yeah, so like I said, 5 years is our standard. I mean, just to be perfectly honest with you, it'd be kind of hard for me to sell 10 years to the directors or to the board of directors, just because I don't see them being super excited about, again, being forced with that. And here's honestly the reality of it is, if after 5 years things aren't going well for us, that means that things aren't going well for you guys either. Mm-hmm. Just because if we're not able to bring in that foot traffic, then you're not also able to satisfy the other satellite tenants. So after 5 years, if it's not a go, then us sticking around isn't benefiting us and it's not benefiting you guys. So kind of gives you an out as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we usually have to stick with the 10 years, at least finding someone for 10 years. That's our main goal. And I mean, like, I still think that even if you aren't, like, that it would still be beneficial even after 10 years. That it would still be good because I mean, I know your reputation, and I know that the place that we have is a very good spot, and I know that even I know it will go better more than 10 years, just the 5 years.
Okay, great. I mean, maybe that is something we can look into. Not super excited about going back and reporting on a 10-year deal, but it may be something that I can work on if you guys are willing to work with us on the other areas and making sure that we can sublet and making sure that we can have a variety of different content. Then I think maybe 10 years is something we could work out.
Okay, yeah, that would be good. We just want to kind of make sure that we have maybe a little bit of regulation on the who you sublet to. Is that like a huge concern with you? Do you want to be able to just do whatever you want, or are you okay with just a little bit of regulation?
I mean, what is your main concern with that? Just that?
Just mainly like competition with the other satellite tenants and competition with us. I'm not sure.
Nicole, I'll tell you something that just came into my mind. I mean, when I was a kid, my grandpa used to say, "Don't let the tail control the dog." And I definitely don't want us to get tied down in this mentality or this idea that these smaller satellite tenants are going to be able to control the person who's has a large part of the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely in this circumstance, the satellite tenants definitely are the tail and they're the smaller part of the operation here. So I definitely would hate for us to get bogged down in that way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know like that's a huge concern. Like, you don't want people to kind of regulate you in any kind of way. We just don't want the competition between the other satellite tenants to feel like you're taking over their customers, and by bringing in like new products or goods. That's just kind of like where the concern kind of comes in with that.
Sure. I think that typically the other satellite tenants have found that their products, even if they are somewhat similar, since we're a discount store, in some ways just complement each other. Obviously, it's never the identical product, and so they haven't been that big of an issue in the past.
Okay. Well, if it hasn't been in the past, you don't see it as really in the future at all.
Yeah, I don't foresee it being too much of an issue as far as that goes. I mean, definitely if it's gonna, I feel that you brought this up a couple of times. I feel that you're hesitant about it. I mean, if it's gonna make you feel better, we can definitely put a clause restricting certain categories that may be completely opposite of what we typically do. So we typically wouldn't do them anyway, but for instance, having a call center be in there or auto parts or anything that is like that might be contrary to what we typically do.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good. We can come to an agreement on that.
Okay, fantastic. All right, that's fine.